Expanded Story. The Women of Segi's Compound. In the heart of Ibadan stands a large, sprawling compound that was once home to the infamous Baba Segi and his many wives. Baba Segi had been a figure of authority, wealth, and charm in his community, known for taking multiple wives and ruling his household with an iron hand. But recently, Baba Segi had passed away, and his compound sat empty and locked, slowly falling into decay. Yet the villagers whispered about the sounds that could still be heard from within those walls. Snatches of laughter, muffled arguments, and even soft weeping late into the night. It was as if the lives that once filled the house hadn't truly left. Aduni, a young journalist new to Ibadan, had heard the rumors during her first week. She was known for writing bold, investigative pieces, and the story of Baba Segi's compound intrigued her. The idea of the spirits of Baba Segi's wives lingering was irresistibly haunting. It was said they had unfinished business, that their grievances tied them to the place, but what kind of grievances could be so deep that they lingered even after death? Determined to find out, Aduni decided she would spend a night there. She arrived as the sun dipped below the horizon, clutching her notebook and a small flashlight. The compound loomed dark and silent, and she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. But she was used to nerves. She knew the weight of expectation that came with chasing a story no one else dared to tell. As she entered, the air grew thick and stifling, heavy with a scent of stale incense and something else, something she couldn't place. She whispered to herself, "It's just an empty house." But she knew better. There was something here, something she couldn't see but could feel. Walking down the long corridor, she noticed the rooms on either side. The doors were slightly ajar, but the darkness inside them felt more than just a lack of light. It felt like a presence. She shined her flashlight down the hall, and that's when she heard it, the faintest sound of laughter, as if someone had just heard a funny secret. It was quickly followed by angry shouts and then silence. Aduni stopped, heart pounding, but she took a deep breath and pressed on. She found her way to the main room where Baba Segi and his wives once held their family gatherings. The walls still bore faded paintings, and there were mats arranged in a circle. She sat on one, pulled out her notebook, and waited. Slowly, the room began to fill with an icy chill. Suddenly, a flickering light appeared, a dim glow that outlined shadowy figures, almost like memories burned into the air. Then she saw them. One by one, the figures of Baba Segi's wives materialized, each with a distinct presence. There was Iya Segi, the eldest, with a proud stance; Iya Tope, who stood slightly apart with a look of sadness; Iya Femi, a figure of quiet anger; and Iya Bola, who seemed to be trembling, eyes cast down. They began to talk, unaware of Aduni's presence. It felt like they were trapped in a cycle, forced to relive their grievances over and over. The women began bickering, revealing secrets and accusations that had remained hidden in life. Iya Segi's voice was full of contempt. "You all think you know hardship? I was here before any of you. I bore the first child and held this family together." Iya Femi shot back, her voice sharp. "And yet you watched as Baba Segi brought in new wives, didn't you? You did nothing to protect us from him or from each other." Aduni's heart raced as she listened, slowly piecing together a story of rivalry, betrayal, and unspoken anguish. The women had been more than wives in competition. They had all suffered under Baba Segi's control. He had pitted them against each other, fostering jealousy and resentment. Each wife had their own buried secrets, and in life, they had never been allowed to reveal them. As she sat listening, Aduni saw Iya Bola, the youngest and most fragile, finally speak up. Her voice was barely a whisper. "It's because of the pact," she said, looking at the other wives with haunted eyes. "We all made a pact to protect the truth, to take it to our graves." The others fell silent, their forms growing darker and more ominous as Iya Bola's words settled into the room. Aduni leaned in, riveted. "What truth?" she whispered to herself. But it was as if the spirits heard her. All four women turned to face her. Their eyes glowed, and she felt a chill run down her spine as their gaze pierced her. Iya Femi stepped forward, her face contorted in anger and grief. "He didn't die naturally," she said. "Baba Segi, he was killed." Aduni gasped, but she couldn't move. The wives had made a pact to hide their revenge, to keep their secret bound to the walls of this compound. It was a pact they had taken to their deaths, a pact that forced them to stay bound together, even in the afterlife. "You have come here seeking our stories," Iya Segi whispered.